Hey guys, everyone's day is going well. Today we're gonna be taking a look at the Offset Yoyo's Outlier version 3. This is Brandon Vu's newest yo-yo. I'm super excited to be talking about it because it is absolutely sweet. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, before I get any further, I just want to thank Brandon Vu and Offset Yoyos for sending me this product. They reached out to me, asked if I want to do a review, and of course I said yes. So thank you very much for sending this yo. Super generous of them. Now, I just want to give a little bit of background on this yo-yo just so you guys are all kind of filled in on the history. So first things first, Offset Yoyos. This is Brandon Vu's yo-yo company. He makes a whole gambit of different yo-yos. He's got plastic yo-yos, monometal yo-yos, and even bimetal yo-yos like this one. So definitely be sure to check out his site. It's gonna be the first link in the description down below. The Offset Yoyos Outlier was one of their first yo-yos, and now they have a version 3, which is supposed to be the best of the best. So we'll be taking a look at that. Additionally, Brandon Vu has been absolutely killing it on YouTube and all the other social media platforms. So be sure to check him out at the end of this video. Okay, so to just start things off, I'm gonna give you guys the specs of the Outlier version 3 on the screen. And from there, we'll jump in to talk a little bit about the actual design of the yo-yo. Okay, so in terms of specs, a couple things stand out to me here. First things first, diameter being 58 millimeters, that's a little bit on the large side, along with the width being 46 millimeters, additionally a little bit more on the wide side of things. So generally this is a little bit of a bigger yo-yo. Nothing too crazy, but just by my standards, it's a little bit on the big side. In terms of weight, I'd say that 63.4 grams is slightly on the light side, but in general, yo-yos in this day and age are getting a little bit more light, so maybe that's more standard. In terms of material, we saw that 6061 aluminum on the body, and then you can see those super flashy stainless steel rims, which we'll be talking about a little bit more later in the video. That price coming in at $110 is definitely a little bit more on the premium and expensive side of things, so later in the video, we'll talk a little bit about whether or not I think that price is worth it. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the design of this thing. First things first, you guys can tell that this is a pure competition yo-yo. You can see that angular shape. It just looks so flashy and extreme. In general, the design of this yo-yo is very eye-catching, and I absolutely love this polished blue, very shiny aqua appearance. I think it looks amazing, and the stainless steel rims just make it look so flashy, which I absolutely love. So we can start by talking about the shape itself. You guys can see this is a very angular shape and extremely wide. There's such a large gap to actually fit the string in, so it makes landing those, hop tricks a little bit easier. Additionally, there are many ridges that lead down to the center of the bearing. This definitely has very low walls. You can see that it curves down right there, so there's very little friction between the string and the yo-yo, which is a great sign of a great competition yo-yo. In general, I'm a huge fan of this shape. It fits very comfortably in the hand, it feels amazing, and in general, it just is so wide and extreme that it's perfect for my style of play. I think it's a really interesting choice that they have all these cuts that lead down to the bearing. That's a design choice you don't see too often, and so I think it's definitely going to contribute to a different kind of feel on the string. The rims themselves are not too sharp. They do come in at a little bit of a point. However, I found that when holding this yo-yo, it didn't really feel like it was cutting into my hand at all, so the rims are properly rounded there. Moving on over to the cup, it's pretty simple for the most part. However, there's a couple things I wanted to point out. So the bimetal rim actually wraps all the way around. So you can see the bimetal rim, that stainless steel rim, is on the outside of the yo-yo, obviously, and then it wraps around to the inside of the yo-yo, which is a great feature. That means that this rim is pretty darn thick if it's going all the way around, which is an awesome feature to see. From there, we've got a couple of cuts that lead down to a flat center with a nub in the middle. I'm assuming that nub right there is just to change up the weight distribution a little bit and make room for a bit of a larger axle. In general, this yo-yo looks sweet. I gotta be honest. I absolutely love the color, as I mentioned before. I think it looks flashy. I think it looks really sleek. And in general, this competition-oriented shape looks phenomenal. Okay, so how does the Outlier 3 actually play? In general, this is a very good yo-yo, simply put. This thing is just phenomenal. If you want extreme competition yo-yo, this is gonna be the one for you. So in general, a couple things that I noticed right when throwing it down, this is such a solid feeling yo-yo. It really doesn't get much better than this. When you throw it down, you're gonna feel an immense amount of power. This thing just spins for an eternity. It definitely is a very stable feeling yo-yo. When it's on the string and you're dancing it around, it feels very secure, which is a nice reassuring feeling when you're playing with it, especially if you're doing competition. Obviously, in competition, you don't want your yo-yo dying out on you, and I think this is an excellent choice in that regard, just because of the fact that it spins for such an extreme amount of time. In general, I think this yo-yo does hit a perfect balance between being stable and light. What What I mean by that is that the yo-yo itself is very stable. It's not gonna go off axis when you throw a couple of different tricks at it. It's gonna feel really solid throughout your play. However, it is light and maneuverable, I have to say. When I was doing some of my faster tricks, I wasn't having to put in too much effort to get it cranked up to speed. I found that it really had a nice change of direction and the momentum of it felt very appropriate. These are great elements, especially for players that like to go a little bit faster. It's also worth noting that since the shape itself is just so wide and there's such a large gap for your string, it makes those hop tricks, lacerations, arm tricks just a lot easier because there's such a greater chance you're actually gonna land the yo-yo on the string rather than a yo-yo that's a little bit more narrow. I did want to point out that if you're looking for a more tech style of play, this yo-yo might be a little bit different from what you're used to, just because of the fact that it is a little bit larger. So since the diameter is a bit larger and the width itself is also pretty large, I would say in general, this isn't gonna be the greatest yo-yo for tech tricks because you could run into the issues in which the mount is a little bit too dense for you for the yo-yo and it's a little bit too large, or you could run into the issue that maybe this yo-yo isn't gonna land in chopsticks very easily since it's a little bit on the large side. But in general, I didn't have too many problems with my own tech tricks, just wanted to point out that one feature. I also found that this yo-yo is exceptional for horizontal tricks. I mean, this thing is just made for horizontal. It's destined to do horizontal tricks, I gotta say. I mean, when you're throwing this yo-yo horizontal, it stays in its plane so well, even when you throw some pretty complex tricks up there and really push it to its limits. It's gonna spin for a lot longer than you expect, so you're gonna be able to do longer, more complex horizontal tricks. And overall, I just found it to perform so well for those over any other yo-yo that I've used. This yo-yo just generally feels so secure to use, and I'm not worried at all about not hitting my tricks because of the yo-yo itself. It really just puts the perspective into the player rather than worrying about your yo-yo dying out on you. It's worth mentioning that this yo-yo does have a polished finish all around it, so I'm not gonna really talk about grinds because obviously they're not too great with a polished finish, but I'm sure if this yo-yo did have a more matte finish, then you would find it very good for grinds since it has that long spinning attributes. Okay, so in conclusion, I think that the Outlier version 3 is an absolute hit. This yo-yo is very solid. It's gonna feel amazing when it's on the string, and it's gonna feel very reassuring, especially for competition play. I know that the price is around $110, which is definitely very expensive for a yo-yo. But if you're looking for the best of the best competition yo-yo, this yo-yo stacks up so well among all the other flagship competition yo-yos, like the Drop Near or the Yo-Yo Factory Edge. I think in general, this is a very agile yo-yo. If you're looking to play fast and very secure, this is going to be the yo-yo for you. It's got a huge catch zone, which makes it super easy for all your different types of tricks. And in general, it just feels amazing when you're maneuvering it. Once again, I want to give a thank you to Brandon Vu and Offset Yo-Yos for sending me this yo-yo. Really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do next. All right, that's about it for my review of the Offset Yo-Yo's Outlier version 3. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to leave a like. Also, if you guys are new here and haven't seen my videos before, hit that subscribe button so you can see whenever I post a new video. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.